Hi, this is Tim from UK Home Gym, your home for UK specific independent home gym tips and advice. And today I'm going to talk to you about loadable dumbbell handles and what your different options are if you decide to add loadable dumbbell handles to your home gym, or if you're starting a home gym and you want to start it off with some loadable dumbbell handles. That's certainly how I started um, in the early days of my own home gym journey. Um, Let's talk about the different options available to you, what the different advantages and disadvantages of each of those options are, and maybe we can have a few conclusions at the end and maybe some advice about which ones I think are the best to go for. So first of all, let's talk about what loadable dumbbell handles are and what they're not. So what they're not is quite easy to sort of point out. They're not the sort of fixed type, but they're also not the adjustable dumbbells. Now, adjustable dumbbells, I think generally those are the kind of thing that you have, like there's like a sort of a case or something like that, where you'll be able to select, you usually by turning a handle or using some other kind of mechanism. You will be able to select the weight that you want, and the handle will sort of pick up that amount of weight and leave the weight that you don't want in there behind. I don't actually advise getting these. Maybe I can do a video on that in a bit more detail at some stage. But the reason why I don't really advise going for something like that is because I think they're quite sort of limited in terms of in terms of the weight there, and I think that it's quite easy to max them out. They often go up to like 25, 30 kilograms and so on. And I think that you will probably max those out at some stage. I do think that there's a lot of plastic involved. They're quite expensive. So that's what they're not. What you do have with a loadable dumbbell handle is like a fixed piece of usually metal, sometimes plastic. If it's all plastic, a big question mark from me. But usually it's metal or predominantly metal, and you basically load the weight plates onto each side of it, and then hold it on with some kind of mechanism like a clip or a sort of a spinning spinning part that sort of fits onto the end and holds the plates in place. So let's have a look at the different types of loadable dumbbell handles, and I've got 6 to show to you today. So the first one, you can see this sort of threaded metal long sort of bar there that has a plastic or a rubber grip in the middle of it. The next one is the same kind of thing, but it has a fixed metal grip in the middle of it, which is knurled. The next option, so those two were quite short. This one is a slightly longer version of the same kind of thing with a metal fixed thing in there, but you can see that it is considerably longer, so you can fit more weight plates on there. Now you're going to a different sort of type here. That is an Olympic dumbbell here for Olympic plates. So the first two were for 1-inch standard plates. This one here is for 2-inch Olympic plates, and you can see that rather than, it's also all metal, but it has the same sort of mechanism that you would have there with a dumbbell. That you have bearings in the sort of mechanism there. Now you can see that I've got a different one here. It's very similar. It's also Olympic, but this one is much bigger. It's sort of like an oversized one, and you can see, in comparison with the much smaller sort of the one that I showed you at the beginning, the smaller spinlock, then that's much smaller, much bigger, isn't it? Now this is the last sort of option. It's sort of, if you don't want any of those two here, it's called an adjustable by a company by Kensui Fitness. It costs quite a lot of money, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in a moment. But you can get different kinds of weight plates in there. So let's have a look at how you operate these, how these work. So you can see here, this is just the sort of standard metal fixed one here that I've got there. You put your standard plates on each side, and you've got 2 options really. You can either use the thread that's sort of provided there to screw on, a clamp type thing, or you can use a sort of plastic clamp that will come over the top there, a bit more like the kind of thing that you'd have on an Olympic bar. So, both of those options are fine. I tend to sort of double up when I'm using this because I find that the weight plates do sometimes come a bit loose because they sort of test that connection there. So, the next one I'm going to show you here is how to load this onto the next one, which is the one with the plastic handle here. Now you see it's the same kind of process here, but I think you will find that plastic handle there is being squashed between two pieces of metal in most instances, and that is going to put a lot of stress on that plastic handle. Even if it's a rubber grip, I do think that will cause some problems. But I do have a solution to that if the grip does give way. So now I'm going to show you this is how it goes on with the sort of extra long version there. It's the same process really. You're screwing it on there, but you'll see that there's a lot more space on the bar. Now you can see, I sort of fumble with it there because they are fiddly, regardless of what you use to sort of clamp on your weights there. You will find this a bit of a fiddly process in many cases. Now you can see that basically there's a lot of overhang here if I've got a low amount of weight on there. So if I don't have many weight plates on, or if I've got thinner weight plates, then that amount of overhang could be a bit too much for it's going to get in your way basically for a lot of exercises. Now I'm going to show you what it's like with with the Olympic ones. These I had 5 kilogram plates on the standards. The Olympic ones, these are 2.5 kilogram plates. So imagine if it was 5 or 10 kilograms, you're going to get a much bigger, bulkier sort of looking, dumbbell at the end of this. I like these sort of plastic clips. I think they're the best type to have, either that or the sort of metal screw-on, sort of old school ones. I think those are also pretty good. And yeah, that is what it looks like when that's assembled. And now I'm going to show you what this looks like when you sort of load this onto the oversized version of the Olympic dumbbell handle. And you can see that there is a lot of real estate on that bar there. So, little 2.5 kilogram plates are not really going to fill it up there. This is more designed for, having bigger, thicker, wider plates on there. So yeah, that's what it looks like. You can see how much of an overhang there is there, but you can also see how much you could potentially fit onto that bar. So, it certainly does have its advantages having something like that. Now I'm going to show you this Kensui adjustable dumbbell. Now they make this in the USA, so you have to pay for shipping if you want to buy it here, and it's quite expensive. But there is something quite unique about that, and that is the fact that this you can put both standard and Olympic plates onto this, and I think that is something quite unique, and it's probably worth showing you this. There's also another good advantage of this, and that is the way that there is no sort of overhang here, and I do like that as well. So you'll find that basically the length of that dumbbell doesn't really change there from about what you can see there. It doesn't really change much from that. So it's in that sense it's a little bit more like having a sort of a fixed dumbbell, the kind you might find in a commercial gym. But I don't know. You may see that as I'm showing you this. This is quite, it looks quite straightforward when you've got a lower weight and you're using standard plates like this, and you're just using one plate. But I'm going to show you in a moment what happens when you start trying to use more than one plate on there. Loading it can be a little bit tricky, as you will soon see. So here I'm putting on, those are my 2.5 kilogram plates, and I'm trying to put a 5 kilogram standard on top of that, right? Or I think it's no, sorry, I think it's a 2.5 kilogram standard plate there. Now you're going to see I'm going to struggle with this because it's difficult to get the thread to match up. So this is not a Kensui adjustable review. Maybe I'll do one of those in a separate video, as I said. But you can see that even this sort of super magical wonder fix to sort of solve the problem of should I get 1-inch plates or 2-inch plates, standard versus Olympic, it doesn't necessarily solve the problem for that. But you can see, look, they are on there. I've got a mix of 2 different kinds of plates on there. That is a bit of versatility that, is quite good. So in a moment, I'm going to show you what it sort of looks like in action. I think you can probably see that the problem that you're going to sort of butt into quite quickly is the length of the handle here. Now I'm showing you here like the curls here with just the short handles with a plastic grip, and you can see that sort of looks okay. There's a little bit of overhang, a bit of body English going on with these curls. But anyway, there's a little bit of overhang, but it's not looking too bad. But you can see that already with like 10 kilograms on there, it's quite, there's not that much space to load the bars up here. With the, I'm doing like a seated sort of overhead press type thing. That's fine. You can see there's not too much space really to play with there on that bar. I could probably put another plate on there, and it would probably be all right. But once you start putting a lot more than that on there, there's a lot of difficulty fixing this on. So anyway, now we're going to look at the Olympic plates here. Now you can see, look at that, the overhang here. They're pretty much, the handles are sort of getting in each other's way, and this is a real problem that you have with Olympic dumbbell handles, and I think that this gets even more pronounced when I'm trying to do the setup here for the seated sort of overhead press type thing. You've got this big overhang sticking into your leg there. It's difficult to get the weights up into the air, and then you can see sort of as I'm doing this, the 2 bits of overhang in the handles are pretty much touching each other, or they sort of risk touching each other a lot of the time, and they sort of get in each other's way. So you can see in some cases, in some lift cases, the overhang is going to be an issue. In some lift cases, the amount of weight you can get onto the bar is going to be an issue. There's a lot of nuance involved, but let's go through each different type, and maybe I can talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of each one. So first, we'll start with the short all-metal spin locks. I think they're so durable. The problem, of course, is they are a little bit too short. The metal spin locks with the plastic or rubber grips, I find the shaft diameter here is really great, but the problem is that grip is very breakable. There is a fix to that, but I have a video on that anyway. The longer all-metal type, very durable, but I still feel like even though they're longer, they're not long enough. The Olympic ones, I think, are probably practical for most people's home gym setups, particularly if you're strength focused. But I do find that they are too long. That is a real big drawback. The oversized ones, you'll find it very difficult to max these out, but they are a bit unwieldy and impractical for most lifts, except the dumbbell row. I've got a whole video review on some of these. And the adjustables, I think they're also known as the adaptables or something like that. There's no overhang. They're compatible with 2 different types of plates, but they are made of quite breakable plastic, and loading them, as you saw in the video earlier, can be a bit of a pain. Now, I have seen online, I think there are some metal versions of these, but I think that the plastic ones are the easier ones to come by. So, there are the different ones. There are the different advantages and disadvantages of each different type there. I probably left out one that is the sort of all plastic one, which I advise you to avoid like the plague. for obvious reasons, because, well, if it's not obvious to you, because they'll break on you, basically. Yeah, that's about it. Now, conclusions. What would I say, based on all this, which one would I tell you to get? If I was going to advise you to get just one, it would probably be the sort of longer all metal ones. The ones I have, the grip really isn't thick enough, but I think if I had to just choose one, I would go with that. Having said that, I don't actually use those ones more than anything else. I just think that they're more versatile than the other ones. I think the real answer is actually probably to have quite a few different ones, if possible, if at all possible, if that's viable for you. And I think that they're not too expensive. Now, the reason I say that is because in my case, I've got Olympic plates and I've got standard plates, and I love Olympic plates and I love standard plates, and I love them for different reasons. And to be honest with you, I tend to use the Olympic plates for most barbell work, and I tend to use the standard plates for most dumbbell work. Now, I'm not saying that you should follow that example. Perhaps you want to just stick with one type of weight plate type, and probably that makes more financial and sense, and it also probably saves you a lot of space if that's the way that you want to go. But you have to be aware of those drawbacks. If you do get Olympic plates, the dumbbell situation, with the Olympic sort of dumbbell handles, they're not ideal for many lifts. You will find that overhang gets in your way a lot. And you will find that you actually max the bar out quite a lot, and you probably will end up having to get that sort of oversized one if you want to do something like dumbbell rows. If you had to just pick one, I would probably go with as I said, that sort of longer spinlock type, as I think that sort of covers more bases. Anyway, I wonder what your thoughts are. Please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please also do check out our homepage, our website. That's ukhomegym.com. And I'll see you next time on UK Home Gym.